I don't think they take that here.
All right, I think we are live. Hold on. Let me do one more adjustment. All right. And all right. There we go. All right, we are live. All right, welcome, my friends, my family, my fellow gamers. It's your only friend these YouTube streets, Puertorock77. Back with impromptu, not really impromptu, but makeup session. Right. Normally, I have my Friday night lives. We go live at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time to keep it consistent with the podcast. But yesterday was Good Friday, gotta celebrate the Lord's sacrifice, But instead of just canceling outright, I was able to make arrangements with Zubie Tech, and we are here live on Saturday. So let's get to it, right? We got special guest Zubie Tech, Zubie, right? Is that appropriate name to call you?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much. The many members and subscribers of the channel. You were one of the more highly requested guests that they wanted to see. And I say, hey, all I could do is ask, and you can see he's here, man. How are you doing, Zuby? How's everything?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks. Thanks for the invite. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm good. Just playing games, talking on X as usual. Yeah. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, just enjoying the California weather here in the West Coast. I'm glad to be back doing my YouTube thing. I've been out of the pocket for a little bit, but I'm glad I'm back here. I'm glad able to provide content, talk about games, playing games. I don't know if you know, my wife bought me a Portal recently.
Nice.
And I'm not into like handheld mobile gaming. That was maybe when I was younger, but after a while, like I didn't really enjoy the PSP. I didn't even buy the Vita. I had multiple Nintendo products. Didn't really enjoy it. When I was younger, I did, but as I got older, it was just a thing. But it's just something about the Portal. I don't know what it is, but it still feels like it's still maybe you could touch on this. When I play the Portal, it still feels like I'm playing on my PlayStation console. The screen is crisp, and it's a weird design. Like the design is weird, right? Because most handhelds, the buttons are integrated with the thing, but the Portal is like it's two joysticks split in half. But it
100%.
works. It's just so smooth. What do you think about that? We'll start there. We'll just get right into it. Do you have a Portal?
Yeah, I've got Portal. I love my Portal. I use it everywhere I go. I haven't used it like far from home. I've used it like in friends' houses, but not very far at the moment. But yeah, I love my Portal. Exactly like you said, there's the two like dual sense handles on each side, so it's much easier to hold and play. But the screen is beautiful. I'm not sure how Sony did it. It's like almost a OLED, if not as close, but the colors are crisp. The sharpness is there. It's only 1080p, but yeah, I use mine almost every day.
It just this thing like when you look at it, it's like, all right, this is a stupid design, but it works so well. Like if Sony does make a new portable, it's got to be this design. Don't go back to the square integrated.
100%.
Don't do that. Like
Yeah.
when I play this, it still feels like I'm on my PlayStation console, and that's what makes me attracted to it. Like I still play this in my house. Like I'm sometimes in the living room playing it. Like I have the console a few feet away from me, but this still feels like a console. And I think if they keep the design, like I actually played it across country. So when I went back to New York, I played in my sister-in-law's house on her internet, on her Wi-Fi. So I'm in New York. My PlayStation console's in California. That's about 3,000 miles of separation.
Yeah.
And I was playing Armored Core Fires of Rubicon. So it's a little bit faster paced game. Not as slow as like God of War Ragnarok or single player game, but not as fast as Call of Duty. But I would say somewhere in the middle. I think it's a good balance between single player and fast paced action, and it worked crisp. The latency, I was like, wow.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the latency as well. It's very quick. Like personally, I've always wanted like dedicated remote play device for years. I'm not sure why it took PlayStation so long to do it, but even Sony's so surprised by the success. Personally, I'm not surprised, but a lot of hardcore gamers wanted it, and I think it speaks to a big audience, and you could tell through the sales in America, Europe, it sells.
Yeah, great point. And I know I was skeptical. I'll be honest, I was skeptical. You know, I don't look at every single thing PlayStation makes thinking, oh, this is gonna win, this is gonna win. Some things I'm like, like PlayStation VTR, I always knew that was gonna be a niche product. But when I saw Portal and I saw behind it, I'm like, man, remote only. You can't play it without internet, so that's a big thing. It looks weird. It's like, to me, initially I thought this is a lazy design. All you did was split a controller in half and put a screen in the middle. That's just lazy. I had all these negative viewpoints, right? But people started buying it. People got it. People played it, and the thing is, there's people who has like another handheld device, right? So they could remote play on another device, but they said that this just does it perfectly. And at the time, I'm like, hey, if you like it, I love it. It's no big to me.
Yeah.
But then my wife bought it for me, right? She ended up buying it for me, and I told her I wasn't interested in it. She just went and got it. She said, listen, you're going to stop carrying around your PlayStation everywhere you go. You're going to use this instead. I was surprised she even knew about it. I'm like, do you follow Zuby Tech? Like, what's going on here? How do you know about the PlayStation Portal? But she knew. Yeah. She even got the one I like, the Midnight Black, because she knows I'm more partial to that. So she knows me better than I know myself. So I'm like, all right, I connected it. I honestly thought that, man, this is going to be a product that I'm hardly going to use. And no, I was just amazed at how well this translates into playing on your PlayStation stuff in product. It's just so good. It does it right. You know, granted, the big thing is internet connectivity, right? So we'll jump into the next conversation real quick. We'll talk about potential or new PlayStation PlayStation Portable, right?
Yep.
The thing about the Portal is it captures the essence of the console. It feels like you're playing a console, like you said. The screen is beautiful. It's not even OLED, but yet it's like clean and crisp. The colors are vibrant, right? Feels good.
Yep.
What are your thoughts of Sony potentially dipping into a dedicated console with native games and stuff like that? How would you think they're gonna take some lessons learned from the Portal and then just say, hey, you know what? We're going to take the Portal idea and we're just going to make it into a full-fledged dedicated handle. Do you think that's something Sony should do? What's your thoughts on that?
Personally, where the industry is at right now, I really don't think they should. It's just my opinion. You basically split the console fan base in half. Well, not half, even less than half, because more would buy the dedicated home console than the portable machine, in my opinion. But we've seen the sales of the Steam Deck and ROG Ally, and we've seen that they're not above 5 million, which is it's kind of shocking and not surprising in the same way. Seeing as that there's obviously 5 million, that's not even PlayStation Vita's sales, which topped out at 15 million.
That is true.
So that's where, like, what do you do? Like, I do think there's a market for it. I don't think there's no demand for it. I think now in like 2025 there is a PlayStation dedicated handheld for it, but how much? Again, I don't think it's going to be more than 5 million. Is that's. And then you're gonna develop games for it. It's gonna be a different SKU to PS5, to PS6. So, like, where do you place the machine? And I've said this multiple times. I've talked to a lot of system architect engineers that made the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and they made the PlayStation 3. I was lucky enough to meet them. And
that's outstanding.
Yeah,
we got to talk about that. We got to talk about that. That's amazing. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, I've met quite a lot of them, and then the first thing they speak about is power. So that's your limiting factor. Power meaning the power draw from like the wall or the battery. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's the big issue. So I think Kepler on Twitter, he said it's like 15 watts, and again, that's like, what games are you going to run on that? Like, obviously now you have PSSR. Again, that would be a massive help to that handheld machine. Mark Cerny did say it will be used in a variety of devices, so that's kind of hinting that that will be used for the handheld. So, yeah, I think it's striking a balance between the two. But personally, I don't think Sony should do it. But it looks like they are going to release it maybe after the PlayStation 6 launches. I don't think it's appropriate to launch it the same time as PlayStation 6. It's just you're going to have mixed messaging. You're going to be promoting a different product. Yeah, that's my take on it.
You know, that's I pretty much agree on pretty much most of your points, right? And I know there's gonna be some handheld gamers that didn't disagree, right? But you're right. It sends a mixed messaging, right? Because you got a dedicated handheld, right? And so what do you do with it? Like, what are you trying to say? The Portal, it makes sense. Like this, when they created this is pretty much a device that continues to use your PlayStation 5, right? And to me, all the hardware that Sony created was centered around the PS5, PSVR 2. You need a PSVR.
Yep.
DualSense Edge, Pro controller for your PS5. PlayStation Portal, PS5. So all these things to me are supplementary to the PlayStation 5. It's all about your PlayStation console and trying to get the most out of it, and better forms of new forms of entertainment, different forms of entertainment, or expanding more hours to play. VR, DualSense Pro gives you that more competitive edge in your games. PlayStation VR 2, a whole new experience in gaming, but still focus on your PS5. And your Portal is expanding, your capability to play your PS5 beyond your home, right? That all makes sense. But the PlayStation handheld is like, okay, you got, like you said, weaker architecture. So, like for me, I have concerns of this potentially being our Xbox Series S. Where if Sony says, hey, if you're ever going to make a PlayStation 6 game or even a PlayStation 5 game, you got to put it on, let's call it PSP2. Let's codename it PSP2. And that's a problem. Because if PSP2 is the weakest out of all the devices, but it must have all the games, you now effectively made that the Series S. That's a problem.
Yep. 100%. And there's a fine line between it. Like, again, like you're limited by the power draw, and you can only get so much out of the hardware that'll be in that handheld. Like, the power's not there, the architecture won't be there. Again, like you can see, is it's not going to be like on PlayStation 6 performance level. That's just not going to happen. PS6 is going to be way more powerful than
if they don't, unless we're willing to pay $3,000.
Exactly.
They can make a handheld as powerful as the PS6. You just gotta call for 5Gs.
100%.
Yeah.
And then you're not gonna sell even 1 million.
No, you're gonna sell like to J Dub. All right, congratulations, J Dub bought it. Good job. Oh man, and here's the conundrum I want the audience to take, right? Some of the people are saying, well, Sony's not going to mandate. They feel Sony wouldn't mandate what games to be made. It's just free for all. If you can make it on, let's say, the PSP2, make it. But that's a problem for the consumer. Because the consumer is going to ask, how come Intergalactic is not on my PSP2? This is your product, Sony. Hey, how come God of War, the new one's not out? How come Ghost of Yotai is not on? If you buy the PSP2, PlayStation gamers are going to demand Sony's first party be on this. Then, I mean, think about it, right? Can you maybe touch on, a reaction of a PSP2, yet a lot of the first parties are not on it because it's not powerful enough? How do you think the consumers will react to that? You think that it'll be understanding? Like, it kind of makes sense why I'm not playing Wolverine on the PSP2 because it's weaker, so I get it. I'll just play PS4 games. You think that'll be an acceptable response?
Yeah, I think to answer that question is when is it going to launch? So if it launches before the PS6, then you could see like if it will support those games. Personally, I think like if you just have to look at the history with the PlayStation Vita. So that didn't go down really well for Sony. So you kind of like restarting that history with the new handheld. So I think Sony has to be very careful. Like again, I think you'll hear they will hear the backlash if there is, and I think there will be like limiting games on the platform. And that's why PlayStation Port is so successful, because it carries your library. I think that I was watching an old video on like why people bought the PlayStation 2, and like so many fans were saying like the backwards compatibility. I could play my previous games on it. So that'll be huge importance on the handheld. Like what would you be carrying over the PlayStation 5? So yeah, I think to nail down what games we'll be able to play, that's where you would see the kind of like a backlash or no backlash.
Yeah. And I know some people will try to use the handhelds already out there, like Asus, ROG, Lenovo, right? They're like, well, not every game works on their platforms, right? Only like the certified games. But I'm like, yeah, but this is different, right? When you're a first-party platform provider and you have first-party developers that makes games, but you release a device and you can't, and the games aren't on there, they're gonna like Asus is not a first-party developer. So no one's gonna go to them and be like, oh, why can't I play Cyberpunk? Or why can't I play this game? Or why can't I play that game? Asus is like, hey, we just make hardware. It's the developers decide, right? But Sony has their own first-party studio. So if you have a PSP 2 and it doesn't play Wolverine, it doesn't play, Intergalactic, it doesn't play Death Stranding 2, gamers are going to complain. Like, hey, this is your handheld. Get your games on this handheld. And I don't think there's any way Sony could be able saying, hey, we can't because the handheld's not powerful enough. I think they will get backlash making a handheld that plays indies, maybe the smaller PS5 games, like maybe Returnal. They might be power enough to run that, things like that, right? But if they can't get the full library games on their platform, on this PSP, they're going to get backlash. And I don't think people are going to be understanding of the lack of power being as the factor why these games aren't on there.
100%, and it just goes back to that same thing: is the hardware going to be powerful enough? Because as you've seen, like the games are getting more and more demanding. Like the graphics are going to increase. The hardware's like ray tracing so big right now. Like every game is supporting ray tracing. So how do you support that on a handheld? I think it's a double-edged sword releasing a handheld. In my opinion, I wouldn't.
Yeah, and I understand there's a few gamers, shout out to Jack Move Johnny. He's a big, he enjoys PlayStation. He loves indies. And he doesn't mind having a native PlayStation portable that, plays his indies, plays PS4 games, right? And I understand for him it's good, but he's not the majority of the consumer base. He's like the few. He's gonna end up. It's like the few who bought Vita. Vita sold 11 million, and they were fine with it.
Yeah, right.
But
Around
that's about
10,
it.
15,
yeah, you're not gonna get the 30, 40 million, right? It's gonna be like 10 million people that will accept a PlayStation handheld that will play PS4 games and a whole bunch of indies and maybe a few titles here and there. But I think for this to be a massive success, if they're expecting 40, 50, 60 million sales, people are gonna expect the newest games to be on it, and that puts PlayStation in a pickle. And I think, like you said, it's the juice force to squeeze when even Steam Deck can't do it. Steam Deck, like you said, got 5 million, and I covered it on the video. I'm like, 5 million? I'm like, what is in 3 years 5 million? Really? Now, I didn't say Steam Deck was a failure, but I didn't say it was a success because I don't know what the metric is, right? I just said I just said this: if Switch would have sold 5 million in 3 years, that's a failure, outright failure. We know that, right? So why isn't that considered a failure to Steam Deck? Well, the answer is because it's a niche product for not most gamers want that. I'm like, and there you go. So let's leave it at that. Let's leave these PC handhelds as small niche products, and then that's it. Move on from that. It's not going to be. They're not mainstream products, right? And I agree.
100%. PlayStation
5, PlayStation consoles. That's the mainstream product. I don't see why they would dip into a handheld. And you're right. The Portal, to me, that's great, and I think they should expand on that. stay with theirs. Stay, put more focus on the remote play and stuff like that. And I think more and more people, I think you'll gain more people get that than a native handheld, because native handheld will come with complaints, in my opinion, especially the lack of first party, meaning a lot of first party are just not on it. That's gonna be a big thing, right?
100%.
Let me ask you this.
I thought.
One question: do you think it should get exclusives? That's another question. Meaning games made for the handheld, but you don't put it on the PS5, like actual PSP2 exclusives. Do they do that?
Yeah, and then it goes back to like 2012, where you had like some first party studios developing games for that, like the game behind you. So what do you do then? So it's at the end of the day, it comes down to resources. How much money are you willing to put down on this project? How much money are you willing to lose? Again, like you have to see the demand for it. Like Steam Deck not selling like more than 5 million. Totally agree with you. I don't think it's a success. It isn't to me. So it's kind of shocking that it hasn't hit 10 million, in my opinion. Like considering like how it's been touted. Like, oh look, I can take my game Steam library on the go. I can be anywhere. I can be playing my games anywhere. I can play any game I want to play. So it's I personally, I don't think there's. I made a poll on Twitter saying like, would you buy like a dedicated handheld? And even on that poll, there wasn't enough demand for it. So it tells you everything you need to know about this handheld market. I don't think is a big enough market as it's been discussed.
It's I did a video, market data, I think IDC was who's the one that did it. There's about 6 million total. And that's Steam, Asus ROG, MSI Claw, Lenovo, Legion Go. Those those are the primary ones. 6 million total. So like pretty much the entire handheld industry outside of Nintendo, 6 million in the 3-year period, right? So just like you, so when I like the vitriol we hear on Twitter and everybody's talking like, oh my God, this is amazing. I could buy a game on PC and I play it on my handheld, and this is the way it should be. Cross entitlement game, game entitlement. We buy a game, we play on every device, and I'm thinking, holy cow, this thing's huge. When I found out the handheld's only 6 million, that just tells me nobody cares. Nobody cares about playing one game on multiple devices. Who's doing it? Like, there's only 6 million people that has one game they could play on PC and play on their handheld. Only 6 million people are enjoying it. And that's assuming they all do it. Because in that same report, it shows many of those handhelds got returned.
Yep.
So you may have purchased 6 million, but you may not have 6 million people stood with the handheld. Some probably just gave up on it and realized, this is not for me. Don't really care for this.
Yep. Yeah, just going back to the point I don't think the demand's there. You're selling to the same consumer, in my opinion. Like if you've got a beast of a PC or even a mid-range PC, is just you're selling to that same consumer who has a Steam library. Even like with the Steam OS that's gonna come, you're selling to the same consumer.
So some people. Well, let me hit the super chats real quick. First to the chat, thank you so much for people who are viewing live. I hope you enjoyed the show and so far enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much. Please hit the like button and share this out so we can let everybody else in the community know that we're live here. We'll start off with Donnell Brown. He says, "I hate you, dude. Live when Clippers are on." Clippers is a basketball team and the playoffs are on. Listen, bro, your team suck. I'm actually saving you. All right, you're welcome. Just all right. And then we got Gordo P23 with a $5 super chat. He asked, do you think PS handheld will be more powerful than the Switch 2? So good question, probably for you, Zuby. If Sony does do this, and it sounds like they are, do you think it's going to be more powerful than the Switch 2?
Oh, for sure. The Switch 2 is so underpowered. Like people don't realize how bad that system is. Puertorock, that system's been ready since 2022. The chip, they've delayed it for unknown reason. I don't know, but they've delayed it for so many years. Maybe it was because they're chasing the PlayStation 2 number. I don't know. I don't know, but
Yeah.
they delayed. The chip was ready years ago. It could have released last year, avoided the tariffs, but who knows?
Oh man, you know, and this is a good thing, right? We'll touch on this. The first point: some people look at the Switch and ask, then how did Switch as a handheld become such a big seller, 140, 150 million? And I said this is because Nintendo did something that nobody else is doing, and even Sony. I always said Sony's biggest mistake for their dedicated handles, even including the PSP, was they tried to make it look like a console, but it's just not a console. It's just not good. They say, oh, it's like a portable console. It just doesn't work, especially when you have a console. So, so when we have the PSP and you have the PS2, PS3, you're like, this is not as good as my actual console. I'd rather just play the games on my console. When you had the Vita, sure, it tried to be a good quality console, but you have the PS4. So just put the games on the PS4. That's what most people are buying. That's what most people are getting. And that's where the Vita fell, right? And these PC handhelds trying to replicate PC gaming, and console gaming. But again, the actual PC and console are just better than the handhelds. That's why they're not selling, right? Nintendo Switch, what they did was, you're not getting a console. This is it. It's either this or nothing. So when you're faced with that choice, okay, then I'll get this, because there is no other better console. There's no other, and sure, you got PC that emulates and steals, but if you just want to buy a legit system and get your games legit, there is no other platform that's better than the Switch. So Nintendo said, you know what? We'll have the portability. We'll have an attachment you can play on your TV, but that's it. This is it. There is no other better product than this. So people bought it because there's nothing better than that. And that's what makes Switch successful, that there's no, I got something else that's better than this, so I don't need this. The same thing I think is going to happen with the PSP handheld. People are going to play the handheld, and the masses 100%. Are going to be like, the masses are going to be like, my PSX is better, so I don't need this. Just put the games 100%. On the PlayStation 6. Why do I need to buy this?
Yeah, and that's why PlayStation Portal is so successful. Because of that reason.
Yeah, it's not trying to replace. In fact, Portal is saying play your PS5 more. That's all the Portal is. There's going to be times you're not at home. You're going to be away, maybe on a trip, vacation, or, whatever, work trip. Instead of lugging your console around, just grab the Portal and you can keep playing the console you love. That's what I love about the Portal. It's not its own device. It's an extension of what I enjoy the most. So they just knocked it out in this one. Let's touch on Nintendo again. Oh, no, okay, go ahead. Finish your statement.
Yeah, I was just going to say about there's one thing I think is not clear what Sony hasn't spoken about is the cloud. So if that handheld has some sort of cloud streaming, I think the plans are very vague on how that's going to be integrated in PlayStation 6 and obviously this handheld. So maybe it's a big feature of this handheld. That's why they're bringing it to the market.
I think for the handheld, instead of native gaming, and I understand, believe me, I completely understand native gaming on a handheld. I completely understand it, and I understand the complete benefits of it. But for Sony specifically, I think just for the brand, it's probably in their best interest just to stick with the remote cloud direction for their handheld, and it works. Right? Obviously, one of the limitations of the Portal is if you have a physical library. If you're primarily a physical gamer, then Portal's not that good for you. Because unless you got somebody at home to tell you, hey, can you put this game in my, that kind of sucks, right? So there is a limitation. But I think for those gamers, the cloud library now, if you join PS Premium, now you have access to a whole bunch of games. So I can see that. So to me, focus more on better cloud. And that kind of puts you in the PlayStation ecosystem, but it doesn't detract from your console. I think the only hardware Sony should be focusing on is their hardware console. That's it. Any hardware 100%. That they do make is an extension. Pretty much the console's the heart. That's the center. That's the main piece. Any hardware is a connection to that. VR, pro controllers, earbuds, portal devices, everything should lead into that console. So that way people could be like, oh man, this console, you know, in its own is great and it has so many accessories to make it even better. Vice a handheld. I agree with you. A handheld detracts. And it's hard. People are gonna want to expect exclusives. People are gonna want all the games. It's just so much to
agree.
it.
Yeah, and then it's development too. So the game development is increasing like crazy, like 8 years, 7 years.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
you're gonna basically double that 16 years because all the studios are gonna be working on different games. So you can see this like from PlayStation VR 2. So Sony's only made like Horizon Call of the Mountain.
Oh, from
like
the first party.
was for yeah. So they it's all third party in terms of PSVR 2. So you don't want that to be the case for this new handheld.
Exactly, right? And it's just like you said, we're just adding more devices. We're adding more devices to the workload of developers rather than just allowing them to just have the device, right? Especially if we're going to continue with mid-gen refreshes. You get the base console launching, then 5 years into the gen of mid-gen refresh, and now you're going to throw in a handheld? That's a lot of devices. That's like, okay, what are we doing here? Where's the focus? Like you said, resources and stuff like that. To jump into a handheld when most of your resources and maybe your partnerships with third parties should be more about, hey, let's bring more games to the PlayStation 5 and let's help you get the most out of PS5 Pro, because this is the way forward. PlayStation base
100%. console
launch, 5 years mid-gen refresh, and we're just going to keep that going, right? Now you're throwing a handheld, and it's like, all right, how often is that going to get refreshed? Are you going to do a PlayStation handheld mid-gen refresh too? Is that going to get refreshed? Right? Like, is that a thing? PSP 2, PSP 2 Pro, PSP 3, PSP 3 Pro, PSP 6, PS6 Pro. Wow, this is a lot of devices. Like, yo, this is a lot.
Just the last thing about the handheld is just because it's in development, it doesn't mean it will release. So PlayStation, obviously, they do a lot of R&D. They can choose not to release this handheld as well. So that's highly important to remember. I know we live on X and Twitter, but at the end of the day, this product might not launch too. So we just need to keep that in mind.
Yeah, especially with, let's say, the tariffs in this whole economic downturn. To me, this is a really bad time to introduce new hardware. You know what I'm saying? Nintendo, like you said, Nintendo should have launched last year. But I don't think they predicted this gen being, So, like, this comes into question, like, now future plans to release new hardware, right? Like, when is the PlayStation 6 going to launch, right? Is Sony still on board with a handheld? Like, if they are going to release a handheld, who's making it? Is it made in China? Is it made in Vietnam? All those places. So, and how much is going to cost? Do you think the tariff situation is now changing strategies or plans for future hardware?
100%. 100%. As you can see, PlayStation 5 is manufactured in China. Foxconn, they developed the PlayStation 5, so manufactured the PlayStation 5. So if they choose to do the same with the new handheld and PlayStation 6, which is likely to be the case, they could delay the launch of PlayStation 6. I'm 100% sure, and this new handheld. So 100% is going to play a factor. So I think PlayStation's main market now is the US out of all the regions in the world. So they care about that very deeply.
Yeah. So like, so I think it's all timing, right? So the next election for the United States for the president is 2028. That's when the new candidates come, they put their whatever for America to vote on. And this is President Trump's last tour, because in our Constitution, no person can serve more than 2 terms as president. So this is his last thing. He's gone, right? So after that. So I think companies are going to, like Sony and maybe Microsoft, whoever, is going to be like, you know what? we're gonna wait till after 2028 to see who's the new president and see what their
Yep.
strategy is for tariffs. Because the next president could be like, you know what, we're bringing the tariffs down, dramatically down. This was a bad mistake. This was a bad move across the board. And now they could be like, all right, cool. Now we could re-implement our strategy. And you're talking 2029, 2030 release. And I think that's what might happen. I think they're just gonna sit and wait it out.
Personally, I don't mind because I think PS5 Pro can the base PS5 can last till another 4 years. It's got plenty in
Easily.
so much power inside. Yeah, so and it gives developers time to like keep developing on the console. I would love to see PlayStation 6 in 2029. In my opinion, I think PS5 Pro can last for another 3-4 years. Is more than capable.
Yeah. On my podcast with the panel mentioned maybe over the last 2 years, right? The industry does have a problem, and it's a math problem, right? There's a term, the math ain't mathing, right? And the math, the problem with them, yeah, you're right. And the problem with the math is, you got what's considered 7-year gens, right? 7-year gens, right? But game development is, like you said, 5 to 6 years. So if you do the math, you have a console generation, and a developer might be able to make one game. That's not a good ratio. One developer, and then that's it. They make their game, they make their big AAA game, and now they have to start preparing for the next generation when they only got one in the shoe, right? So that's a math problem, right? So I'm thinking, if they can't cut down on development time, right? If the development time is really 5 years, 6, maybe even more in the future, but let's say it's around 5, 6, then you have to increase the generation. Generations can't be 7 years no more. You have to extend it. I'm fine as long as they make competent hardware, 10-year generations. I don't mind if the PlayStation 5 and Pro sticks around to 2030. I really don't mind.
I totally agree. Because like PlayStation and Xbox and Nintendo, they're closed platforms, so you can really dig into the architecture of the console. You can really get even more power out of it. Like you saw that with PS2, PS3, even PS4 at the start of the generation. And I believe you'll see that with the PlayStation 5, like towards the end of the generation, like games that look really, really, really good, highly optimized games. I mean, like ray tracing is such a big feature, and you can see it being used in so many games right now. So I think 2030, 2029, delay it.
Yeah, and with technology advancing so much, I think it's taking a little bit longer for developers to get the most out of it, right? Because we want all these advanced technologies, ray tracing and all this stuff, right? All this new stuff keeps coming up. And I think over time, as the technology got better and better, you need to give developers more time to take advantage of it. It's not like, during the 32-bit days where new technology came out and within months they already mastered it and they started producing 2, 3, 4, 5 games out the chute. Now you got new technology. It's like, man, it's taking it's taking a while for them to really get a grip with it and to optimize their games. And to me, more powerful systems with better technology means developers need longer generations. Like we have to extend the generations. We have to start with 10-year gens and stuff like that, and I think 10-year gens will give us the most bang for the buck, especially if they're charging $500-$600 for consoles. All right, fine, but give us a depth library of titles from everyone. That's just my opinion. That's just how I view it, and I don't mind if they extend the gen to 2030. I'm in no rush to see a PlayStation 6.
It's same. I'm in no rush to see a PS6. Like I said, the PS5 Pro, PS5, more than capable systems. People keep talking about the CPU. I think Zen 2 is such a powerful CPU, in my opinion. It was such a leap from PlayStation 4, which was like mobile CPUs. So the performance is there. It just needs to be tapped in and optimized. Like if a game's not hitting 60, that's down to optimization, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree so too, right? Because it always seems like, all right, we had games from last gen that was 4K 60. So now we got more powerful hardware and you still can't get 4K 60. It's like, I think it should be more. I think it's more about optimizations, getting used to the technology, learning how to balance all the technologies. Right. I think these consoles have more. Right. And even if we started a new gen, what exactly is going to be the bigger new gen? Right. It's going to be a bigger push. I mean, are they going to do 8K? I hope not.
Yeah,
I honestly hope they don't do 8K anytime soon.
yeah. I think 8K is, in my opinion, is like 15 years away.
Yeah.
It's such a long time for 8K. Like, there's not many TV models that have 8K as well. So you can really tell on CES in Las Vegas that happened, like where the industry is going. And this year there was like, I think 2 models shown in the whole conference, which is so bad for 8K. I think 8K and 5G is just not taken off the way a lot of analysts predicted. And they've both been such a shit show, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think right now we hit the resolution 4K where everybody's happy with 4K visuals. Like, it's really crisp. 4K is absolutely crisp. And even then, there's still some people who still don't have 4K TVs. So it's not like even though it did grow, there's still people buying 1080p TVs. And it's like, oh shit, you're still buying a 1080p TV? So I think 4K right now is going to stick around for a little while. I don't think anyone's interested in 8K. I mean, technically still, we're having trouble getting crisp 4K content. We still haven't mastered that. You know, a lot of the streaming 100%. Services, the 4K imagery is not that good. You know, so why jump to 8K then?
Yeah, and the thing that 8K won't have is a Blu-ray discs. So it will never have that.
Oh, so good point. Because Sony stopped it, right? 8K,
no, there's no technology made for it. There's no 8K disc. Oh,
so and I don't think Sony's interested in making it.
Yeah, because
normally
4K,
they would
discs.
Yeah, normally they'll be the pioneers. They will be the first ones to push 8K. That's right. I just see this is why Zuby Tech's the best. You know all new Sony and everything, because you're right. They are always usually they're the first ones to be like, hey, 8K players, 8K discs, so that way everybody could use it. But they didn't announce no 8K disc. So without an 8K disc, this falls flat.
That's like the initial like ball, where the ball gets rolling for the new like resolution. You saw that with the 1080p with Blu-ray, the 4K Blu-ray discs,
like a consortium.
4K. Yeah, and they've already said it. Sony's made a statement that said that we're not pursuing this technology. There will be no like advancements in physical media. So that tells you there's not going to be an 8K format.
And so if Sony's not trying to lead this, I doubt anybody else is. I mean, Toshiba's not gonna take up the mantle. They're not gonna invest in 8K discs. They're not gonna be. They're not. They're like, wait. If anything, I would say, because given that's usually a Sony thing. They usually are the ones for physical media, 8K for all that. When Sony says, "Yeah, we're not doing it this time," I think everybody in the industry is like, "Hold up, if Sony ain't doing it, then I'm not doing it." I mean, is that right? Like, if they're not willing 100%. To invest in this, then why? So that's true. That's starting to make sense. Good point, man. Thanks for letting us know on that one. Without 8K discs, you're gonna rely on the internet for 8K media?
Netflix maybe. I don't know.
Not even, because because I saw I have the PlayStation 5 as my 4K Blu-ray player, but I hardly use it. But I did use it one time, and I used it for The Dark Knight, Batman, right? Part 2, the sequel, right? And when I saw that on actual Blu-ray 4K, that was my first 4K Blu-ray movie. When I saw it, I'm like it was night and day difference than what we get streaming. Now listen, if you guys are streaming, to the chat, if you are streaming 4K, I'm telling you, you're not. I promise you. You get a 4K Blu-ray player and you play it, you will. It's unbelievable. I'm like, holy cow.
I'm glad you said that, because I can see the difference. So I'm glad you said that. Yeah, it's not a lie. Game changer.
Yeah, it's completely different, right?
It's different.
So I understand 4K Blu-ray collectors. because it is a completely different experience. You're not getting it from streaming. You're just not. Because listen, that's one of the movies I watch over and over. I seen Dark Knight on, on Max, 4K presentation, and then there's the disc version. The disc version blows it out the box. It is so crisp, completely different. It is obvious. It is so obvious we're not getting true 4K content over streaming, right? Maybe a little bit better than 1080p, but not the full native 4K resolution that you will get on disc. So I could see that, right? Somebody mentions in the chat horrible bit rate, stuff like that, right? But,
That's it, bit rate.
Yeah. So I would say no 8K discs. The biggest supporters of 8K would be the physical movie guys. They will be the biggest advocates. They will be the ones to get an 8K TV and 8K Blu-ray because now they get 8K movies. But if you're not giving them 8K movies, they're not going to get an 8K TV, and they're not going to get. Well, obviously, there wouldn't even be an 8K player. That doesn't really make sense to have one without the disc. Wow.
Disc.
So probably 8K won't be a thing for a while. All right. Let me ask you this. We'll go back to Switch 2, right? Incredibly weak and stuff like that. Okay. What's your view on the initial presentation, the reveal? How do you think that went for Nintendo? And what are you could say, your future outlook on the brand?
I think it wasn't a good review in my opinion. Like usually there would be some sort of like gimmick like Nintendo would do, like they did with the Switch. Like there was nothing, like they didn't mention anything unique about the hardware, which I found really like weird. And then they showed off like a ton of third-party games. I know like they're gonna get obviously more third-party support, but it's just a weird review. They obviously got leaked in January, and then they said it would be in April, and then obviously the tariffs immediately hit. In my opinion, it wasn't a good review. I think it was one of the worst console reviews for them. Not as bad as the Wii U, but it was quite bad. And at the end of the day, I think obviously their IP sells. The Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, those games sell. So I think it would do well. I don't think it would sell as much as the original Switch, but I think it would do well once they like show more first party games. In
my opinion, I think when Nintendo really got their stride, and we're talking about when they have their main platform, the handhelds, they always done phenomenal, right? Game Boy Advance and stuff like that, right? But when it came to their consoles, right, they started out strong with the Nintendo Entertainment System, and they were really strong with the Super NES. But ever since the N64 and the introduction of ever since PlayStation came onto the scene, Nintendo had a challenge trying to compete with PlayStation, saying, "Hey, don't buy their console. You could buy ours," right? And that's even with their own first party. So even with their own first party, they lost. A lot of people's like, "Oh, Nintendo's first party is the strongest." I'm like, let's remind, PlayStation has beat Nintendo with Nintendo having their own with their first party. It's not like the Nintendo first party is a new concept. Nintendo's first parties has been there since day one, right? Remember, N64 had Super Mario 64, Ocarina of Time. It had some of the biggest Donkey Kong 64, some of the biggest games. It was on the Nintendo 64, and it got stomped by the PS1, right? GameCube came out again, had exclusives. Had the Super Mario's, Metroid Prime, right? Big first party. Got killed by the PlayStation 2. It wasn't when Nintendo decided to say, you know what, we're done competing with PlayStation. We're done trying to be what they do. We're going to do our own thing 100%. We're going to go after our own games. We're going to go after third parties that make sense for us. We're no longer going to chase the Call of Duties or Resident Evils. We're done with that. And they made the Wii U with the new play style. That's when they started beginning to make just weak hardware. They didn't care about keeping up with hardware. They said, this is it, cheap, $250, that's it, and it worked for them. Blew up. It was the first time they sold 100 million consoles, right? Then they try to go back to competing with PlayStation with the Wii U. Hey, we're going to get the third party. Hey, we got Batman Arkham City. I remember Mass Effect. You remember that? They started touching on third party. right? They started touching on third party, and instead of focusing on what they do best, which is their own lane, they tried to go after the PlayStation audience. Hey, play Arkham Asylum. I remember Nintendo content creators saying that Wii U is going to have the best version of PlayStation gamers' favorite games. That didn't turn out so well. No one cared about the Wii U.
Yep.
So now Nintendo went back to their own thing. Hey, we're back to our own thing. Switch. We're not going after third party, that PlayStation has. It's all about fun, portability. You can play on the go, play on the TV, first party, and it worked. Now with Switch 2, it seems like the messaging is back at, hey, we got Cyberpunk. We got Final Fantasy Remake. We're going to get third party. And it's like, why the hell would I want to play third party on this? Like, for example, Cyberpunk, 1080p 30.
Yeah.
Why?
And the frame rate was like 22 FPS.
Yeah, it even hold 30, right?
Yeah.
In performance mode. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why are they going back to... I understand from a business perspective, trying to get third party because of that 30% cut. But take a page from Microsoft. You're not going to grab that third party from PlayStation. It's just, you just give up. As a console, they own it. What do you think?
I say this time and time again, like that third party software is locked down by PlayStation. Like in terms of the history and now in the present, like today, the third party games sell most on PlayStation. Like they have that market on lock that like is the go-to system to play FIFA, Call of Duty, all the games that release. To take that away from PlayStation, which is obviously what they're trying to do. Again, like you said, the frame rate is so bad. The games are going to run so poorly compared to PlayStation versions that what do? You buy the inferior version. You know you're going to get. I don't, because of that very reason, I don't think it would sell. Like the third parties would sell more on the Switch 2 than the PlayStation. So that's a key factor in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I think some people should look at a couple of things. Number one, PlayStation, in the eyes of third party, and I think this is important where people need to look. From the eyes of third party, PlayStation console is the more consistent brand globally. Their worst generation is like 85 million. That's your worst. When 85 million sells is your worst, that gives third party confidence that this is the place to put their games on the console. Maybe not exclusive. Yep. Obviously, they'll go their third party. They do multi-platform, but you can have the trust and confidence that PlayStation will be one of the more successful consoles every gen. When 85 million is your worst, when the worst you ever done is 85 million, you're in a great place. So that's one. Number two, Sony has been consistent generation to generation to actually reach out to third party and try to make it easier for them to make their games on their platform with every generation. So it's consistency. So Nintendo has not that been consistent. Sometimes Nintendo flat out ignored third party. So they haven't built that trust with third party for consistency every single generation. Sony has been consistently good with third party every generation as best they could. So that's some consistency with third party which is why they reach out to them. Consistent with sales, global brand, consistent sales success, right? Because that's what third party looks for, a console that actually sells around the world. Consistency with help development. They actually listen to third party on what they want the console to have to make games easier for them. That's hard. It's hard to get. Nintendo's not going to be able to pull third party away from Sony. At best, whatever game can be made on Switch, they'll get it. But if Nintendo thinks, we'll be able to draw third party to our platform as the main platform, it's not going to happen. Nintendo has not developed that consistency for third party to make that decision. They just haven't.
Yeah. And two valid points that you made. The first is obviously Sony. They support third party developers so much. They provide them with so much support. And it's unbelievable what happens behind the scenes. Which with each developer that brings their platform game to their platform. So that like Sony XDev, they're a global brand. They got offices everywhere in America, Canada, Asia, Japan, South Korea. most of Europe. Now they're coming into Africa. So you're just going to get more support from third-party developers. More third-party developers are going to come onto the platform because of these initiatives that they're doing. And the second point is these third-party developers, they see the metrics. They know their games sell best on PlayStation. That's a fact. They're not stupid people. They're business people, and they see the metrics, and they know their game sells best on PlayStation.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, right. Can you touch on anything you know about? Because I know they have their the China Hero project, right? Africa, Middle East projects and stuff like that. Can you touch on that a little bit to the audience? Because I'm a little bit familiar, but you're Zuby. You got all the info. Some people may not understand and realize the investment Sony is doing, expanding regions for more developers, new talents, new places to go. Can you touch on that and explain to the audience what exactly they're doing?
Yeah, so this is like a kind of indie project where they basically have a conference. Developers can submit their games to Sony, like basically make a pitch, like this is our game, this is what we want to make. Can you like help fund it? Obviously, it goes through Sony if they want to approve whatever game. And then they get so much support. So they have like the full backing of PlayStation Visual Arts, all their tools and processes, game development tools that they are available to them. They obviously help the developer to launch the game, publish their game on PlayStation and PC. And then they all help basically localize talent in these new regions. So Africa, hugely untapped market. Again, Middle East, not many devs known from there. India, which is the other project. And then obviously you have Sony XDev Japan, which obviously cover the Asia region. And then obviously China, which is such a huge market. It's unbelievable what they've done. And it's such a brilliant initiative started from PlayStation, getting more developers onto your platform, getting indie games onto your platform, making these developers like Stellar Blade known, AI Limit just launched from China. Many games have already launched from these programs that are coming. There's, I think in the MENA Hero project, which is the Middle East and Africa one, that one's they've just about set up their conference. So a lot of developers are gonna submit their games that they want to make to Sony. So we should see soon all the new wave of games coming from this region. And it's just basically localization, which is so important. Sony's done a hell of a job in North America, in Europe, and in Japan, and it's just going to make PlayStation much more globally recognized brand awareness. Just going to make them bigger, more support.
And that's fantastic. And what I like about the project is new concepts, new ideas. Because obviously, I think culture inspires new ideas and stuff like that, right?
100%.
You see the Chinese developed games. They're just not a rehash of Japanese games. They actually have their own identity, their own gameplay style. It's just different. Like you can now identify a game made by a Chinese developer. Like the moment you play, you realize, oh wait a minute, this is a Chinese developer game. Like their style of gameplay, fighting styles, fighting animations, and stuff like that. Like you could really see the difference and stuff like that. So I think that's really fantastic. I'm really interested in seeing what great titles will come out of Africa. There was also talk with this was also being able to push consoles into Africa. So I guess right now, in Africa, and if you're familiar with this, if you can expand on this, but I guess in Africa they call it the gray market, which is there's no actual store where they get consoles distributed to them. The stores get it from another store outside of Africa to import it to them. So really the store is buying it from another store and then you just resell. So they're resellers, not actual distributors directly from PlayStation, which makes the console really much more expensive. Can you touch on that? Are you familiar with that?
So they do have an office in South Africa. I do know that. They do have stores there that sell the PlayStation 5 and the ecosystem there. So I believe they will just expand from that localization to the whole of the African region. Same in the Middle East. I know Dubai and obviously Saudi Arabia, they do have offices there, so they will just expand from there. Dubai is a big scene for game developers. There's a lot of talent there that they will tap into.
Dubai's growing. It's insane.
Yeah, insane. It's just again, just tap into that market, getting them to publish games on PlayStation. More developer talent that's going to be on your platform. And even in China, Black Myth Wukong, they said the promotion PlayStation did, it just made the game sell more. So they directly contributed to the sales. They said PlayStation really did help.
That's outstanding. Oh, that's fantastic. Let me ask you this: the Pro. I got the PlayStation 5 Pro, right? Love it and stuff like that, right?
Yep.
Do you like the concept that Sony's doing with these mid-gen refresh? Do you think they should keep going, or do you think they should just focus back onto just making the base console? Let's say like the PlayStation 6. Just make the PlayStation 6 as best as can be, and then just write it out for 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. Or do you like this mid-gen refresh concept? What are your thoughts about this strategy? Because now this is the second time Sony done it. It seems like it's going to be consistent. Do you think this is the way forward? 5 years, mid-gen refresh, then another 5-6 years, new console. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, personally, I don't have a problem to it. I loved my PS4 Pro. I love my PS5 Pro. I think it just in cars you get like a facelift version. It's kind of the same concept. It's like sorts all the problems out from the base machine and just like supercharges it. It's just like putting a turbo into a car. You can see why they did it with the PS4 Pro because of 4K resolution, and then now with the PS5 Pro, they've done it for like machine learning to train that model. If they do it with the PlayStation 6, they should have a much better reason again to do it again. I don't think they should do it for the sake of it. I always think there should be a reason. I think both times they've done it for a really good reason. So PS4 Pro 4K, and now machine learning and artificial intelligence. I don't personally have no problem with it. Technology moves so fast. Things are going to get improved all the time. Again, it depends what Sony want to improve on the machine. PS5 Pro is quite expensive, so I guess that's where they didn't want to make a loss on it.
I agree.
So I think you'll see that in PlayStation 6 price as well. So they won't make a loss in it.
So I'll say this: I'll disagree with that, and the reason why I say I think the base console for every launch, I think Sony's always going to take a loss because the priority of that console is the mass market. The strength of the console is how many people you gotta grow the fan base as fast as possible, right? 100%. So I think So I think Sony's strategy has probably primarily been the base console. They sell out a loss, but they're very quick on getting to mitigate those losses within a year. Because I think within a year they break even, and then after a year they start making profit. But I think the most important part is to get those high volume sales, to get those 5, 6, 7, 10 million sales, right?
Very true, very true.
The Pro,
I don't disagree.
The Pro, I don't think that's their expectation. I don't think they expect the Pro to take over the PS5 sales, so they could sell that for profit. Because it's for the enthusiasts, right? Pro's a very enthusiast console, so you got to pay for it if you want it. You know, so I think that's good, right? What I like about the mid-gen concept, right? And like you said, you hit it a good point. It has to be done for a reason, and I think for me that reason is to push new technology while developers are still within the new gen, within the current gen. I think you're doing devs a favor. Like, for example, the AI model training and all that stuff. I think it's a great idea to have developers work on that now during the PS5 gen and not unveil it at the start of the PS6 gen, where now everything is happening. You got a new generation, you got a new console, and now you got new technologies later, and now they're all trying to learn everything at the same time. You know what I'm saying? I like that gradual, new introduction technology, yet you're keeping the developers in the same gen. So now they're not rushing to make PS6 games. They're still making PS5
Yeah,
games, and they're just including new technologies while they're doing the PS5 games. And I like that. I actually think that's a great thing. So I think you made a great point. Like, have some purpose behind it. Don't just do it just to do it. Have some purpose behind it. And I think that goes along with extending the gen. I think that's a great way to extend gens.
Developers love the PS5 Pro, by the way. They love it. The power, everything about it. They said it's so easy to develop their game on it. Just like increase it is not much development at all to put their game on PS5 Pro. It's very quick.
So you know what? Let's go to this topic right here. So you mentioned developers love it. So I'm assuming right now you develop contacts with developers. I'm assuming maybe within PlayStation, within Sony, because you're as a content creator that you do on Twitter, you became a great source for Sony and whatever. How did you develop these relationships with? In fact, let's go back to the beginning. In fact, this is going because a lot of people. Let's go back to the beginning. How did your journey started as Zubie Tech, as the guy, as the person who will, start talking about Sony, talking about PlayStation, getting the information and putting it out there so that way the community knows, hey, this is what's going on PlayStation. This is the people who they're hiring. Hey, I found, a LinkedIn article or a LinkedIn profile talking about this new games. How did that journey begin with you? How and when? That's, I think, a lot of gamers, because you just came out of nowhere and you did a phenomenal job nurturing your pretty much identity. How did that begin? When did you decide, hey, this is what I want to do? When did that happen, and why did you start doing that?
I appreciate the support and everything. It just started from like misinformation. I was reading articles that weren't true. Like I followed Sony and PlayStation my whole life. As you can see, it's a passion of mine. I love gaming. I love technology. And I've just followed it for a long time. I've followed Sony's financials for a long time. And I just kept seeing these articles that Sony's doing bad, PlayStation's doing bad, they're in disarray. Yeah,
PC
they're
saving them.
Bankrupt.
PC saving them. If it wasn't for PC sales, and I'm like, there's hardly any PC sales. Like what? We see the I'm into their financials too, and I too see that. I'm like PC sales ain't that great. It's not like they're making $20 billion in PC gaming. Like, what are we talking about here? Like,
yeah. And I just kept seeing articles that was saying, "Oh, this is bad about PlayStation," or "This is bad about Sony," and it just kind of frustrated me. And I was looking everywhere and on the web, and there was no one reporting the accurate information. And that's where it just started. All from I started it, I think in 2018. It wasn't doing it daily, but today. But and I just started posting about the accurate information about PlayStation. Just started from there. Started posting about their financials, the numbers, the statistics, how the company's doing, how much they made each quarter, and just started from there. And then I just done a ton of research, even more surrounding the company. I'm lucky to be followed by a lot of the PlayStation employees. A lot of PlayStation studios now follow me, so I'm quite lucky in that sense. And then it just snowballed from there. Just covered the whole of PlayStation. I didn't intend to have 40,000 followers, but it just
that's fantastic, and well deserved. Absolutely well deserved. So so you're making your content, you have a passion for Sony, PlayStation, all that stuff. You're pushing out the information, to which, believe me, I understand what you're going through, right? Because, the crazy part is you do the research, you provide the receipts, the facts, and people look at you as a fanboy. Oh, why are you cucking for a company? But the people who lie, they don't do research. They just make up facts. They look like the heroes. So the people who lie gets cheered, but the people are like, no, here's the receipt, here's the data. This is not true. Oh, why you got to stick up for Sony? Well, and it's not really sticking up for Sony. It's you guys are being misinformed about the company. And if you think Sony's failing, you're gonna be confused on why they're doing something. You'll be like, wait a minute, how did they do this? I thought they were failing. Well, it's because you've been lied to. You've been lied to. Stop listening to liars.
Yeah, and it's not that I hate Xbox or Nintendo. It's just if you're gonna say something, just be honest about it. Don't manipulate it. Don't if you're gonna manipulate it, don't do it for a brand and then say, oh look, when company A does it and then company B does it, you don't say anything. Like that's what I find wrong. Like if you just keep it a buck, simple.
The price of games.
Exactly. That's my point. Like when Sony did it, they got backlash. They were the third company to do it, to raise prices, and no, everyone just came out Sony. Or why is Sony raising the prices? Why is Sony do? When in the first place it was
Activision,
Take-Two,
Take-Two,
and then
Activision and EA also with Madden and at the time FIFA. Yeah. So three publishers actually announced price hikes before Sony. But Sony got the majority of the backlash.
Yeah. Now Nintendo done it. Puertorock, no one said anything. No. Be honest about it. You're here too. Not one person said anything about it. I'm talking about like
the video game journalists. I want to make that clear. The gamers are saying something, which is true, because I've seen gamers complain. You see in the YouTube comments, even on the Nintendo Direct, you see gamers in the chat saying, drop the price, drop the price. Well, who we're talking about is the influencers, the content creators, right? The same content creators that literally done podcasts, articles on Sony price hike, despite the fact that EA, Take-Two, and Activision already announced $70. Everyone focused on PlayStation so much that some gamers got confused on who did it first. To this day, people still come to me and chat, oh, but you didn't say nothing when Sony price hiked first. And I tell people it wasn't them first. It was Activision, EA, and Take-Two. They announced $70. They were the ones that started it. And then they come back and be like, oh, my bad, I didn't know. I was told it was Sony. I'm like, exactly. You got misformed a lie. Sony just followed. Really, the $70 price hike was an industry decision. The moment Take-Two announced $70, that's it. The industry's like, yeah, it's $70. Sony just followed along. Nintendo, though, that's a them decision. That's not an industry decision. The moment Nintendo said $80, that's 100% Nintendo. Nobody was already pushing $80 games. That was all them. And the question is why? We seen Mario Kart. They even did a Treehouse. Mario Kart World or whatever, $80? There's nothing in that game that shows advanced ray tracing. All the stuff that makes games expensive, it's not there. It's clearly not there. That is clearly not a $300 million, $400 million game. In fact, it could be made on the Switch. It could be on the Switch one. There's nothing there that. Just to
go back to your other point that you made earlier, they didn't show a game that was that showed the Switch 2 power. They didn't show one game that showed, wow, this is a system. Like, look at the upgrade, and that's that shows you there's not much of a leap in terms of the hardware.
Mm-hmm. But the games are $80, right? And I say this
exactly.
With this Switch 2 reveal, I said, listen, if it's not my money, it's not my pocket. If you guys are good with $80, if the industry doesn't want, if the industry doesn't want to write articles on Nintendo selling $80 games, if the content creators who bash PlayStation for $70, but they have their lips zipped for $80, that's fine. You don't have to. But I never want to hear backlash on price hike game. Not even for Xbox. If Xbox raises the price of Game Pass to $30 a month, not even gonna complain. Don't worry about it. It's cool. Charge Game Pass for $30 a month. I don't care. There's no point because everybody, like you said, they're not consistent. So for me, if Xbox raises the price of $30, I promise I'm not gonna rag on it. I'm gonna be like, hey, if you love Game Pass, it's $30. Pay your $30. Enjoy it. Not my problem. If Steam raises their price, Steam raises their price. Whatever. Like, I'm no longer getting into the whole price and increase argument. It's just not. It's really it's not about the price being increased. It's about who does the increase. So apparently for some companies it's fine. For other companies it's wrong. I'm not dealing with that. So
Yeah.
everyone can rate their prices across the board. At the end of the day, if you like it, you like it. If you don't buy it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And is it just like to go back to the topic? Is just like kind of hurt me in terms of like PlayStation's pushing the industry in terms of like the graphical features, the hardware, the innovation, with all their technology. Like if you just look at Horizon, it's just insane. Like tell me a game that looks so as good as that.
No, it's hard.
In terms of image quality, I'm talking about image quality, not like the resolution. Like even The Last of Us Part 2, that game looks insane. Like that lighting system is not even ray tracing, and it looks like so real. So you have like Sony pushing the industry, and then you have this like this. Well, now is become so like disconnected. It's just like you have this media outlet saying, "Oh look, Sony's bad for doing this," but you don't talk about the positives, what they do as well. So it was that was the reason for me starting, and maybe that's why I got 40,000 followers. Yeah, and I've got like the Sony. Yeah, so Sony CEOs follow me. I must have done something right. For the people who call me fanboys, at least I got. Insomniac Games follow me, Sucker Punch Productions follow me. So many Sony CEOs, I can't name them all, from Asia, PlayStation Japan, Christian Sevenson, he follows me. He's the third party guy for PlayStation. There's so many other followers who've left X that used to follow me.
Someone's flexing, chat. Someone's flexing out here. Someone's flexing. We're gonna touch on it. We're gonna talk about it. Let me do the super chats. I want to talk about that. Mario Rodriguez with the $20 super chat. He says, "Absolutely love what you both are doing. Keep it up, man. I'm really glad you're enjoying the show, Mario. You know, appreciate it. I'm glad you're enjoying the conversation." Chocolate Dream Stream with the $2, right, or the €2, I think it is. The truth shall be televised, as P Rock said nicely. Absolutely. And I got the truth speaker here, Zuby, right? So now, so Zuby, all right, you're growing your brand, you're doing your thing, right? Maybe it was unintentional, but now Sony started noticing. When was that first moment? Can you remember the first moment where Sony's like, hey, we're gonna start following this guy? How was that moment? Can you remember that moment? Because it may have, who knows what happened. And if you can't remember that moment, then talk about how more and more of Sony and PlayStation started following you now, and that connection.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact moment, but I think it was just over the years that a lot of PlayStation employees and developers started following me. I was just very consistent, just kept it up every quarter. Sony financials. I've done so many infographics regarding it. That's another reason why I do like a lot of graphics, to actually have the actual data, and majority of the infographics I do is like direct from Sony financials or a statement provided by Sony. So I've never like made them up myself. It's just started I think 2020 was the time. A lot of like PlayStation developers followed me. Lots of PlayStation employees. I think 2021 was when Herman Host followed me. So yeah, it's just, I just try to stay consistent. And like I said, Puertorock, I've done so much research. Sometimes I think I don't know how I did it, but yeah, it took a lot of time and dedication to actually like provide the facts to people about PlayStation. And at the end of the day, I'm just like a gamer like you, Puertorock. I love games. I play them. That's where it starts from, and innovation is so key, and that's why I love Sony as well.
And we also like truth. I think truth is pretty good, right? You know, some facts. Facts is a nice thing. You know, facts is pretty important. 100%. Facts is pretty important, you know, as gamers, right? 100%. Has this relationship led you to any conversations? Did you get any invites? You know, things like that, or something. Has this led to any at that point, whatever, where you were able to talk to developers, even if it's undercover? I understand there may be some NDAs that you can't talk to, but has this led to anything though, where you could get more info that you're able to provide?
I did sign an NDA.
Okay.
That I can't
Okay.
talk about with the PlayStation, but I did get offer a job in US at the time. I think it was about 4 years ago. It was like in the marketing department, but I just wasn't ready at the time, so
So I'm assuming you
had
live
to decline it.
with your accent. I'm assuming you live outside the U.S. Now I'm not gonna say
Yes,
explicitly
yes.
where. Just I'm assuming you live outside. So they
Yeah.
wanted you to come to the U.S. and
Yeah.
be part of their marketing team.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Listen, and y'all thought fanboying didn't lead to nothing. My man was gonna be a fanboy getting paid. Now I'm playing. You know how they say. That's a good flex. Next time they tell you what you getting out of Sony. Well, I got a job offer. I will use that flex.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're cooking. You're being a fanboy for a corporation. They don't do nothing for you. Well, they offered me a job. So shut up. Fanboying pays,
Exactly.
So that's incredible, right? So when they offered you that job, were you obviously you didn't accept it, but how was your feeling? Like, did you feel like, wait a minute, is this real? Like, is this happening? Like,
Yeah, I was shocked really. I didn't know what to think about it at the time, but yeah, it's just personal commitments that I couldn't do. But yeah, it was kind of like a shocking moment to me. I didn't think I would make a career out of this or anything. So
imagine the resources you would get now, right? Because you're putting a lot of personal time, and believe me, it is. People don't realize how hard it is to try to get information and present facts to people. It's not as easy as it looks. It's really not, because you have to sift through a lot of garbage first. There's insane amount of fake information out there, and you're trying to source the actual data and present it. So, chat, I'm telling you, when I find information, it's not like I go to Chat GPT and in 5 minutes I have it. It takes time to really identify. Like, wait a minute, this is credible information. Now we could present to the audience. So I could just imagine what you go through. Because you go through LinkedIn as well. That's not easy. It's a challenge.
It's so hard. Yeah, even like the patents I've done, they file Sony patents. Sony.
Yeah, I didn't even start that. I was like, I couldn't go into that. That's a work.
Yeah.
That's a job in of itself. Trying to find patents and stuff. Yeah.
Like you said, Puertorock, no one sees that. No one sees the effort I've put in. They just see obviously the stuff I post. Maybe it does come off as bias. I'm not going to say I'm not biased, but at the end of the day, like I believe Sony deserves a fair shot. If you're going to be consistent, just be consistent in your messaging. Don't pick a lane and then not be in that lane that you picked. And then when another company does it, you don't say anything. You stay quiet. Like, what's that about? And it's been proven time and time again on Twitter and news articles and, like you said, YouTubers, personalities.
One thing I learned as a content creator, not to fall for the trap of people of audience or somebody going out to you. Oh, you're so biased. You need to be more unbiased. Because more often than not, the people that complained about me being, oh, you're just all about Sony. You're not biased. You're not fair. You're not equal. I look at their content, and they're just the opposite. They just want to hear Sony bashing, but they're never there when Sony does something right, and they're definitely not there for the bashing of other products. You see what I'm saying? So I'm like, so when I hear people saying about being unbiased and fair, that's not true. Everybody has a preference. I rarely seen anybody that equally has the same feeling on every single platform equally. They protect something. They hate something
100%.
and they love something.
100%. 100%. And my
So I don't
preference
fall
is
for that.
PlayStation. I'm open about it. That's what I prefer. Like I'm not gonna say like they're a perfect company, but they do more of what's right than what's wrong. Like there's faults with PlayStation. I'm not gonna say they do everything perfect, and that's what I like about you, Puertorock. Like even now, you disagreed with me. Even at the start, you said, "Oh look, this is what I don't like about it." Totally agree, and that's why I heard you on Mooch's podcast, and sometimes I think, you have to strike a balance when you're on a podcast, and you do that perfectly. Sometimes you think, hold on a second, and then you put your foot through it. Like, and I've listened to you guys for so many years. You guys Mooch, Jay Bari, you guys, Jez, and I just try to look for another perspective as well. Like obviously, when you're always thinking yourself, it's always good to have another perspective that comes into it, and then
absolutely
see what the other person is saying, and is my thinking right? And it's always good to think like that. I believe.
Absolutely. So it's good to keep your options open, because sometimes your viewpoint could be wrong, right? And I say that, like, for me, Portal, I was completely wrong about it. Like, a lot of people don't know. Like, when Portal first announced, I said I think it's a stupid idea. I absolutely said that, and I own it. I said Portal's a stupid idea. It doesn't make sense. And then when they showed the diagram with the two controls, I'm like, oh my god, this thing looks ugly. Ain't nobody want to carry around a thing with two controllers put together. This is going to be absolute failure, and I was completely wrong. Wrong, right? So that's just what's that. All right. So going back to your career track, and talking with PlayStation developers. Now that you have access to those guys, did that help you as far as getting information that you can talk about to present it to the audience? Have you seen some benefits to that, or is it just pretty much they follow you? But
most of it they tell me not to say, so I don't say it.
Okay.
And that's not just from PlayStation. Like, a lot of developers follow me as well from other studios, and they've said the same. So I just respect their wishes, and what I find, like, on the web, that's what I talk about.
So you have more access to third party as well. So this also led to connections with third party developers and studios.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Are some of them big? Are there some big ones that you don't have to say the name, because I obviously NDA and stuff like that. But you got some.
Yeah.
Well, look at you, man. Flexing.
Yeah, I try not to brag about it, because I'm pretty humble. So
you a better man than me, boy. You a better man than me. You know what I'm saying? Like me, I wouldn't say it, but the background will have stickers of third-party developers, and people will be like, "Why you have those stickers there?" Oh, no reason. People would know. Oh shit, Puertorock got connections to those guys. I mean, I didn't say that. No, but that's cool though. That's really good. That you have that.
Yeah.
Do you see a future where this could be a professional career? Like, you already got offered a marketing thing from Sony, and I guess the timing wasn't right for you. Do you see yourself potentially jumping in that lane if the timing is right?
I'm not sure. I'm pretty happy where I am at the moment, but maybe if it was PlayStation, maybe, yeah.
And I'm assuming you don't want to move to America. I'm assuming PlayStation, and I'm staying here where I'm at.
Yeah,
I'm not going over there. Not going over there.
Not right now.
They'll probably deport you as soon as you arrive. You're like, what? I just got here. Nope. Get out. You'll probably get deported as soon as you land. They're like, nope. Turn around. Go back. Oh, wow. All right, so that's it. Okay. So let's talk about some games. What games are you looking forward to? And it could be a mixture of Sony's first party, third party. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what's exciting. What's exciting for you in the horizon?
2 games, Doom: The Dark Ages, and second is Ghost of Yotei.
Okay, that's good. So that's for this year. Okay.
Yeah.
What about no Lost on the Side? I gotta sell you.
That's coming out in
May. I'm gonna sell you on that. Listen, I waited for that game since 2017. I'm gonna sell the hell out of that game. I'm gonna sell that. I'm gonna make sure everybody. I'm gonna flood people's DMs and timelines. Everybody's gonna know about that game. I'm gonna self-promote that game for free. I waited like almost 8 years for that game.
Yeah, it's been in development a long time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Is there any future projects that you're really got your eye on? That you're like, oh, I can't wait to get my hands on this.
Yes, probably years away, but Intergalactic probably years away.
You think it's years away? Do you think there's a chance it's a 2026 game?
No, it's not launching in 2026. No.
Oh, Zubie. you put a dagger in my heart. Oh my god. Oh, oh my god.
Yeah.
I hope you're wrong. Oh, but I don't think you are because you sound too confident. Oh shit, that
Yeah.
hurt. Oh, excuse my language. That hurt. Oh, guys, I'm sorry. Hey, to the chat, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to bring this to you. Oh, so okay. What about Wolverine? You think, in your opinion, a
Well,
potential 2026 game?
yeah, it could launch in 2026.
Okay.
I think it might be shown this year.
Oh my god, thank God. Oh, oh man, I was hurting on that one. Oh wow. So intergalactic. So maybe let's. You know what? Let's touch on that. Naughty Dog this gen for multiple reasons. I mean, for certain scenarios, they have not released a new game yet. Right? They released
Yeah.
their remasters or remake. Um, Factions 2 got shut down. That would have been their new game, right? And I'm not just talking
Yep.
about to the audience to make sure I'm not necessarily referencing a new IP, just a new game that we haven't played already. You know, that's what I mean by new game. A new game, whether it's a sequel or a new IP, but something we haven't already played and got remastered or remake. They haven't done that this gen. It's been 5 years, and what they released is remakes and remasters, right, of their games. They haven't released a new product, whether it's a sequel or new IP, whether it's like The Last of Us 3 or Uncharted 5 or Intergalactic. Now, if Intergalactic is not a 26, let's say it's a 27 games, do you think that's a pretty poor showing on Naughty Dog's behalf that 7 years into the console and now you're finally releasing a new game? Do you think do you think that's a poor showing, or do you think that's like, you know, remasters shouldn't be your main portfolio over the course of 7 years? What's your view on that?
Yeah, it's. I think a lot of stuff's happened at Naughty Dog for the like past 5 years. The Last of Us Part One PC port was really bad. Naughty Dog came in and like took over that project. That took a long time to
That's what I was
port,
afraid of.
and then yeah, again, and they did that again with The Last of Us Part Two. They helped to port the game to PC. And then obviously Factions 2, which was the big one. People don't think like I think what hurts most is the time that's wasted when you like cancel projects. Um, in my opinion, like Neil Druckmann, he can't. He's doing too many things. The TV show, running the studio, developing a game. It's just like impossible. Like I forgot his name, but one of the studio directors, he left, and they just like obviously put more pressure on Neil. Yeah, it's just time. It is really sad, to be honest. Like we're only probably gonna get one, maybe two games out of Naughty Dog on PlayStation 5 generation. So yeah, I don't think there's much more to say other than is disappointment, and it's sad that we're only going to get like one game probably on PS5 from Naughty Dog.
And what you just mentioned, that was always my concern with this PC move. And I know people outside of PlayStation, right? Oh, this is great for PlayStation. They're gonna get more money and build games. And I'm like, but you don't understand. It takes people to port those games. Oh, they're gonna have Nixes and other developers. I'm like, no. Naughty
Yep.
Dog, Santa Monica, all those studios, they're still gonna be part of that. And if things don't go
100%.
right, I guarantee they will step. They're gonna stop what they're doing for PlayStation, right? Like if Nixes or another or whoever was in charge to do the port, if everything's going fine, cool. But the moment something goes wrong, the main studio is gonna stop what they're doing on PlayStation, and they're gonna put priority on the port. And it sounds like that's what
Yep.
Naughty Dog did. So like,
Yep.
and this is why I challenge the people. The reality is, Sony porting games to PC is a benefit to Sony shareholders. It puts money in their pockets. It is not a benefit to us console gamers. It's just not. We're not going to get anything out of this. People say, oh, they're going to get money for future games. No. PlayStation consoles already make money for future games. The PC is just more money for higher profit margins for the shareholders. That's where the money's going to go. All that PC profit is going to go to the pockets of the shareholders. PlayStation on its own is fine. They make more than enough money to support their own games. They just want bigger margins, right? But where we get hurt at is the development, the talent, the people. When something goes wrong, the first party studio is going to be the one responsible to jump in, which means if they're working on the port, then they stop working on their main PS5 project, which delays times. It takes longer, and that's what's always been my biggest concern is PC is going to pull resources. It's going to pull people away from the console project, right? I notice everybody's complaining, oh, it's taking too long. Where are the games, Sony? Where are the games, Sony? But nobody is saying, you know what? Ever since Sony went this PC route, it's taking Sony longer to make their games. No one's making the connection. No one wants to do that because they're afraid to call out that decision. They're afraid to call it out because they want to look like a fanboy. But again, this gen, people complain the most about PlayStation first party, and it just so happened to be the gen where Sony is porting games to PC. There's a correlation here. And I told people 100%. On this channel, it takes resources, it takes people, it takes time, right? It's a lot of, like you said, it's a lot of development across different devices. So like you said, you know, that's crazy.
Yeah, and it's for me that hurts the most is the time. Like the time you can't get back. You can obviously pour more money into the project, whatever, get more developers onto the project, but the time lost is just obviously you won't get that back. And unfortunately, that's obviously what's happened with Naughty Dog is that, and that's the reason why they've split season 2 into 2 parts as well. For the show.
Because they don't have the time to do all of it in one season.
Wow.
That's interesting, right? And I said that was going to be the biggest drawback. Everybody thinks it's easy. Everybody thinks, a lot of people who are fans of PlayStation putting their games on PC, they think it's just, oh, that's easy. It's like, oh, just press a button and it happens. I'm like, no, you're going to have to spend money. And maybe even if it's not a lot, the biggest part is the resource. And if something goes wrong, I guarantee the main development teams have to get involved because the decision's already done. They're going to have to get involved. And if they're involved, they're not making, or they stopped, or they put a halt to their PS5 project for the sake of the PC port of an old game. And most of these, they're not selling to incredible numbers, right? They're no longer, in fact, I don't think, outside of Helldivers, so when Horizon Zero Dawn got ported to PC, that ended up 4 million. None of the games after came close to that 4 million, except for Helldivers. But then after Helldivers, we still don't see 4 or 5 million sales from first party. We don't. Spider-Man didn't sell 4 million. God of War didn't sell 4 million. Like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, clearly that, you know what I'm saying? So most of these games aren't selling. I'm sure they're making a profit, but is it worth the profit to delay your games? Like, was it worth it? Was The Last of Us sales on PC worth halting your own projects? To now, you might get one game out of Naughty Dog this entire gen. In PlayStation, I don't know. That's for Sony to decide.
Yeah, and it just goes back to your point where you said it's for the shareholders. Like when you see it on the balance sheet, you see this additional revenue that's coming from another stream that isn't your console. And that's what all it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I seen that on the financial sheet. It's like outside. It's like it's a specific thing. So when I saw the last one, outside of PlayStation, it was like 875 million, right? Which it's about around that, right?
It hasn't hit 1 billion yet.
Yeah, it hasn't hit 1 billion. It's under 1 billion, right? And
ever.
Now, 800 million sounds a lot, right? It does sound a lot, right? Like, oh my God, 800 million between, and this box, Nintendo and PC. It's all of it. It's not just PC. It's all the platforms that there's a PlayStation game. So like, for example, Nintendo Switch had Horizon, Lego and MLB The Show. Xbox has Destiny and MLB The Show, and then of course PC has all the titles that PC has, and it was like a little over 800 million. But when you compare that number to everything else, PlayStation is like 27, 28, I think almost 30 billion. That's what the console does. So the console's producing like 29 billion. PC, Xbox, Switch is producing not even $1 billion. So it's clear the console's generating the most revenue, the most profit, the most money, right? So it's like, is PC worth, right? I think Sony needs to slow down on the PC because they can't keep stopping their own first-party studios, which results in delayed games. or the game's taking longer because now the team has to worry about the PC port. I don't know if that's a good strategy. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Exactly the same as you. I personally don't agree with the PC strategy, but again, you just got to look at the balance sheet. These games are costing what 300-400 million. By the time PlayStation 6 launches, it might be 500 million each game. That extra revenue's got to come from somewhere, and like PC's another piece of revenue that they can get and tap into. So I don't think this strategy is going to stop. It's just where game development is, and as hard it is to say, Sony will always push innovation. They will always push graphics. They will always push these features in their games that are groundbreaking. That will not stop. And obviously the technology behind it, they're at the forefront of it, in my opinion. Yeah, it's that game development cost is the issue, and that's the issue for PlayStation for forever, basically. If they can somehow lower it, remains to be seen. But in my opinion, you just got to look at the balance sheet. Why these games are costing that high, and that's the reason for why, in my opinion, the primary push for like porting PlayStation games to PC is because of that. And then if you release one game every 6-7 years, that's like how it is.
Yeah, because I don't think Naughty Dog can just keep going with one game a gen or 7 years. That's like no. And I think we discussed that earlier. That it's all about once you got your groundwork layers, start pumping out the games and stuff, right? So Naughty Dog producing one new game in a 7-year, 8-year period, that's not acceptable. And I hope Sony recognized that, right? And fine, this generation they made a mistake. I guess the PS6 gen don't repeat the same mistake, right? Be more. I think they just need to be more. I think they need to be more strategic with PC and multi-platform development. It's not easy, right? Multi-platform development is not easy. It's challenging for the studios, and you're gonna have to is it worth porting a game on PC at the risk of the studio not having the time to release another new game on your own console, right? That's something that they're gonna have to really look at and stuff, right? Yeah, so that's okay. All right. I think we covered all the topics we had today, unless there's something you want to talk about. I don't know if there was something, first time live on the channel. Is there something that we missed in terms of PlayStation or gaming that you think we should cover?
I think we covered pretty good topics today.
Okay.
Again, thanks for having me on your show. Appreciate the invite. I've listened to you for a long time. It's good to finally have a gaming discussion with you. Gaming's. I think we wouldn't be on a podcast if we didn't love playing games. So
absolutely,
that's what we love to do. We're passionate about gaming. I'm sure everyone you talk to on podcast is the same. Just enjoy it. The game where you game. Play games, finish them, because you never know how long this will last. Like these games, how long these games will last. Like these, that's why I always say, enjoy the PS4 generation was so good. Like the games were on that platform, they didn't go into elsewhere. They just released hit after hit every year. PlayStation 4 was so good.
yes, I'm telling you, get the portal. It's amazing. But yeah, man, thank you so much, Zuby, for rocking on the show. Great conversation, great insight, on the stuff you said. I'm happy that what you started out grew big and that you were able to make some connections with the industry. And hey, just keep preaching the truth. As long as you got the receipts and got the information, let people be upset, right? If anyone's upset over facts, then they're the problem. They're the problem gaming. If people can't handle facts, if you present them with facts and that upsets them, then they're the reason why so many things are wrong in terms of gaming, a gaming conversation. People gotta accept facts. They gotta accept information, stuff like that. And some won't. That's their problem. They're the problem.
Exactly. And I know sometimes it might come off like fanboyish, but it's not. It's just like, just be consistent. That's all I say. Don't like move the goalpost and like change the narrative to your liking. Like, if this is happening, just report on that. And if the criticism is there for that company, valid.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, that's true. Just report it fair, and that's it. And then let the outcome, right? But don't make up stuff or ignore stuff just because it's happening to your brand or whatever. But it is what it is. But thank you so much, Zuby. Would you let people know where they can find you in terms of your content? I know you're popular on Twitter, and I think you're also on Blue Sky. Are those your two primary platforms, or can we find you elsewhere?
Yeah, those are the main two platforms for now. Yeah. Okay. And I appreciate all your words. That it truly means a lot. I'll just carry on what I'm doing 100%. I only try to speak the truth anyway. I don't try to like lie or misinform. That's not my intention.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Just provide the receipts, provide the facts. There's going to be people, for whatever reason, there's people who get upset at factual information. I don't know why, but it is. If they hear information that's contrary to what they believe, even though the information is true, they're just still not going to like it. And they're going to try to use ad hominem attacks. So don't even worry about that. You're doing an outstanding job. That's great. Really appreciate you showing up here. We got one final super chat from Gordo P23. And he says, great show, Pete Rock. Shout out to Zuby. We got to get King Thrash next, though. Oh, these guys want drama on the channel. No doubt. No doubt. But anyway, your only friend, these YouTube streets, Puertorock77 with special guest Zuby Tech. Thank you so much for showing up on our live. I hope you guys enjoyed the great conversations. We will see you. I will see you next Tuesday. 60 Frames No Lag podcast again at the normal time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. And then the next live will be on Friday as normal scheduled, barring anything happening. But thank you so much. Hit the like button on your way out. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. You saw where you can follow Zuby, Blue Sky Twitter. If you're new and you never heard of him and you enjoy things PlayStation and also Sony tech, you're going to want to follow him. He's a great source of information. He provides the receipts. You're going to want to follow him on Twitter and Blue Sky, all right? Till then, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy gaming, love gaming, because Zuby said it best. We actually don't know how long we have this for. So take advantage of it while we have it now. You guys take care. Peace. And